Xbox lost the console war. I mean, I don't want to ruin anyone's day, but even the great Phil Spencer has said as much. That doesn't mean Microsoft has stopped making consoles, and personally speaking, I found myself using my Xbox Series X more than my PlayStation 5 during this generation. But that's when I'm not using Game Pass on PC, and speaking of which, Game Pass is seeing strong growth across all platforms. Not only with 35 million plus subscribers, but with their latest push into cloud gaming and their This Is an Xbox marketing campaign. Sure, you can argue that they've gone third-party, but not exclusively third-party, and it's only boosted their numbers. Heck, they're the single biggest third-party publisher on the PlayStation 5, and according to the trusty folks over at industry analyst organization Circana's July sales numbers for the United States, there were more Microsoft-published games in the top 20, and they all placed higher. But really, it's a win-win. Microsoft gets more sales, and PlayStation gets Forza Horizon, which if you haven't played Horizon by now, what are you doing? Single best arcade racing series of the past decade, in my humble opinion. And this fall, the Xbox brand will inexplicably be joining the dedicated handheld space for the first time in the new Rogue Xbox Ally and Rogue Xbox Ally X. Not to mention the stacked fall Game Pass lineup with Hollow Knight Silksong, Ninja Gaiden 4, The Outer Worlds 2, and Call of Duty Black Ops 7. There's something for everyone. And as an Xbox fan, you might think I'd be disappointed, but no way, this is an exciting time. We're getting great games like Helldivers 2, a Sony-published game no less, appearing on Xbox. I feel like after all the hard sells I've done to my friends over the years, they can finally dip into some of my favorite games without having to drop cash on another console. Now, mind you, that console would give you access to Game Pass, but whatever, I digress. So, how did we get here? It's simple. Xbox did the same thing they've been doing the last decade. They're losing the console war and playing the long game in the process. But make no mistake, this was not originally the plan. Thankfully, they had the benefit of being a division of Microsoft, a company that hangs in the top 3 stocks with Apple and Nvidia. It's the only way to explain how Xbox survived the public relations disaster that was 2013 and the reveal of the Xbox One. It's actually been long enough that it bears repeating just what happened for those too young or cool enough to remember. Imagine a device that let you stream movies and play games, that would listen to your environment to respond to your every command. Imagine being always online, connecting to the most up-to-date information, and imagine you couldn't resell your digital games. Yeah, that kind of turned out to be the future regardless. But in 2013, console gamers revolted. Hard, and in no small part due to then-current Xbox head Don Matrix's inability to spin on a dime, saying essentially, this is the future, deal with it. And the craziest part, 18 months later, he would be gone, as would be the CEO and embodiment of Microsoft's old guard, Steve Ballmer, who approved of the effort to take over the living room by embracing streaming and digital products. And you know, considering how nice everything is these days, it's a little shocking to go back and view nearly every PlayStation stage show, including verbal swipes at Xbox. And the audience, they were going nuts for it. The Xbox 360 era was over, PlayStation was winning, and oddly, people seemed pleased Microsoft was losing. It wasn't a good look. By 2015, the Xbox One was getting destroyed by the PlayStation 4. I guess the people just weren't feeling Quantum Break. At least the system got a price drop when they removed the Kinect, which is a story deserving of its own video. Phil Spencer was promoted to the head of Xbox, but really he only had to make one sale, and that was with the new Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, who at this time was making his approach very clear. Mobile first, cloud first. Well, that mobile thing didn't shake out too well, but hardware was never really the point. Nadella wanted Microsoft to be as ubiquitous in the new digital age as they were in the software age. This meant mining all avenues of potential revenue, but would take a long view approach. Spencer could get behind that, and besides some strange experiments with Crackdown 3's cloud-based multiplayer destruction that never came to fruition, he was building the future of Xbox to fit within that vision. But if you weren't an Xbox One owner at that time, let me tell you, the people were utterly confused about what was going on. Time and time again, Spencer dismissed exclusives. Fable Legends, more like Fable the Ending. Phantom Dust, more like what a bust. Scalebound, more like not bound. All the while, they were adding even more hardware to their console lineup with the S and X branding appearing in Xbox One variations. But you, dear viewer, already know where this is going. Xbox exclusives in 2025 are virtually non-existent, or at best timed for less than a year at this point. Heck, the newest remake of the first Gears of War launched date and date on the PlayStation 5. And actually, this is a pretty convenient detour if you'll allow me. Gears of War was not originally a Microsoft property. It was Epic Games. You know, the Fortnite guys. games. Halo 2 was originally a multi-platform project before Microsoft intervened to purchase the developer and property, and that went so well that Bungie is currently owned by Sony. But there's been a lot of questions about what benefits there are in buying these IPs and keeping them exclusive, versus, say, the purchase of Minecraft in 2014. Heck, most people don't even really remember this, as Minecraft continued to be a platform ubiquitous game, appearing on Sony, Nintendo, and every tablet being smacked around by a toddler in a chain restaurant. Personally speaking, I can't help but notice how Minecraft now appears to be the prototype for future acquisitions. Microsoft bought the single most popular game across platforms for its era, and unlike most games of the past 11 years, it has continued to see significant growth year over year. It even got released on the Vita. I mean, need I say more? Today, those same brands of tablets now connect to Xbox Cloud Gaming, no longer limited by the raw graphical capabilities of the hardware. An entire library can be streamed directly to modest devices. Well, depending on their internet connectivity, of course. And let's not forget those that failed along the way, such as Google Stadia, which served cloud games through individual sales, a concept the general public simply couldn't trust. And you know what? They were right! Stadia is gone, and competitors like PlayStation Now have been rebranded. And there's frankly too little time to ever talk about OnLive. But it's hard not to imagine a little buyer's remorse. Xbox, on the other hand, knew the dangers of jumping ahead of audience expectations, offering players a full selection of games as part of Game Pass. This was far more affordable given the company's already industry-leading cloud efforts, where all user data builds future advancements. But that's not to imply any sort of abandonment from hardware. In fact, the plucky low-powered Xbox Series S is now 5 years strong, and performing quite admirably thanks to Microsoft's parity requirement for every single game on the Xbox Series X. This continued focus on local rendering doesn't just benefit Xbox owners. Arguably, the Series S helped developers prepare for the hardware missteps during this generation in Nintendo's new Switch 2 or even the Steam Deck. And on the other end of the spectrum is Xbox's undeniably great support of PC. If you're a Game Pass subscriber, some of the biggest PC titles of the year, like Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and Legacy follow-ups and Doom the Dark Ages, were available day one. And it's not just console hand-me-downs. Frostpunk 2, which is set to launch on Xbox Game Pass this fall, has been available on PC Game Pass since last year. But again, this returns to the original question: how did the Xbox brand escape their isolated position in 2014? Well, not to spoil the ending, but we are talking about a platform that now has a major Sony-published game. And yes, hardcore fans, I know we can get pedantic about MLB The Show, but if you even know what I'm talking about, you already know why that doesn't count. So, what did Microsoft do? Well, to put it in baseball terms, the Xbox One was a rebuilding generation. Rather than quick fixes, Phil Spencer took ambitious steps to alter the division's entire direction, shifting investments to align with the strengths presented to him. It's debatable where the Xbox One could have rebounded from its early launch errors. After all, if Microsoft could eventually go to such lengths to purchase ZeniMax and Activision Blizzard, what could prevent them from buying up a few more killer apps for the Xbox One? But this framing is misleading and honestly a little myopic. Is it mandatory to win a console war, especially when fighting back from a losing position? More importantly, for the top brass of Microsoft, was there ever a desire to? Clearly not, especially as none of those ideas would line up with the new direction of Xbox. Sure, Microsoft is still selling products, but the long game is in selling services like Office 365. You know, the thing that you skip over every 2 weeks when launching your PC. Or owning the means of private communication with Microsoft Teams and their latest effort into artificial intelligence with Copilot. In short, wherever Microsoft is, subscription programs are too. Game Pass, if nothing else, has maintained a positive reputation, growing subscribers to over 35 million. And that means a ton of use case data, from cloud servers to network functions and business and entertainment, from phones to cutting-edge PCs and intentionally lower-powered consoles. And even if you're a console war traditionalist, ask yourself, historically, what's the point of a console exclusive? What's the point of buying a developer? And what exactly is the point of buying a major publisher for billions upon billions of dollars? Or even if you want to question the profitability, what's the point of the loss leader business strategy? It's the same answer that it always was: leverage. Microsoft's misstep in an older era made their brand largely inessential. I mean, I was there day one for Scream Ride, but were you? Rather than continue that tug of war, rather than calling it quits like Sega did after the Dreamcast, rather Rather than march on with the Kinect, Xbox broke from tradition in favor of the long game. Meanwhile, Microsoft has already confirmed the future of consoles with their AMD partnership. Likewise, the current life cycle has stayed market competitive with price increases hovering slightly above their competitor PlayStation 5. And the eventual rogue Xbox allies are currently rumored to be priced within the $500 to $600 range, which would place them comfortably against the ever-popular Steam Deck. And Xbox has confirmed their own version of verification to make sure local hardware rendering is optimized, while again being the single biggest third-party publisher on the PlayStation 5. Admittedly, these numbers saw a major boost because of Microsoft's ownership of Call of Duty and other properties, with plans to expand that franchise to Nintendo once again in the near future. Essentially, Phil Spencer revamped the Xbox brand to exist in nearly every space. And who knows? Perhaps next generation the Xbox console will take the lead again. Or maybe it won't. But don't expect them to retreat anytime soon. Short of a seismic shift in management or a catastrophic economic event, say a bubble bursts, Microsoft's future plans is to expand their gaming efforts on even more platforms, including their own. And that brings us to Helldivers 2 officially launching on the Xbox brand on August 26, 2025. A PlayStation-published game appearing on Xbox seemed unlikely for the great majority of this century, but that was before Microsoft purchased Leverage, opening doors to deals in play and deals in the future. There's no question about whether Microsoft and Sony should partner together. It became a done deal the moment the Activision deal was finished, if not sooner. This might lead some of you to question what this environment means for Nintendo. Well, there's no reason to get your hopes up about Mario Party on Xbox. Where PlayStation and Xbox exclusivity has a chance to hurt their overall revenue, Nintendo's business model is entirely the opposite. But Microsoft isn't in that position any longer, nor are they trying to dictate when the future of games will arrive. They are meeting wherever the consumers are, including their own platforms, PC, cloud, and other consoles, and maintaining leverage for the eventual migration to cloud-based services. At least that's their gamble. The Xbox we knew from generations past is dead, instead owning an entire segment of the business rather than chasing units sold. Now more so than the Xbox 360, it seems inevitable that if you play games, you will purchase one of their products or services. The question isn't so much what will be an Xbox in the future, but what won't be. Now I want to hear back from you. Did Microsoft make the right play back in 2014, or should they have made a bigger play in the console space these past 2 generations? Chat back in the comments below, keep clicking around here at Game Rant, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks everybody.